Hello everyone, my name is Lowko and welcome back to a professional match of StarCraft 2. Now what I've got for you today is a top level game of Terran versus Terran. One of my absolute favorite matchups. I've been thinking about it a lot, right? The different matchups in StarCraft 2. And I do think that TVT is probably my second favorite right now. I'll go over that in just a little bit, but spawning here in the top left-hand corner, playing with the red SCVs from South Korea, we have none other than INnoVation. Arguably the most dominant StarCraft 2 player of all time, as this man has been around since like 2011 or so. He's been playing at the highest level since 2011 and he's still around. He's still doing extremely well, doesn't seem to show any signs of slowing down. His opponent though, while he's been playing this game professionally for many years, only very recently is when he really managed to continue his winning streaks. It's been pretty incredible. On a League Elect currently, this man is considered to be the rank 1 Terran player in the world. Now, of course, you gotta take that with a grain of salt because I do think that Maru is quite a bit better, but he certainly has the skills. We'll see what he's gonna look like in 2020, but we have, of course, none other than Cure. Okay, so as this game gets underway, let me predict it, okay? There's gonna be Reapers, there's gonna be Hellions, there will probably be a Cyclone. That's the first couple of minutes of most TVTs. There's no denying that TVT is absolutely incredible right now. So, historically speaking, the mirror matchups in StarCraft, and that includes StarCraft 1 as well, they've always been a bit of a meme. I mean, let's be real, most of them have always been a little bit memey, as I mean, it's difficult to design a matchup that isn't just extremely aggressive or extremely cheesy, as both players are just simply making the exact same units. The best example I can come up with right now that most of you probably will be able to relate to is Protoss versus Protoss. I mean, PvP is an odd matchup. It certainly has the potential of being absolutely amazing, but I do feel like it's the one matchup in StarCraft 2 that really benefited from the Mothership Core. I mean, I can make an entire dedicated video to that. I thought the Mothership Core was really dumb, but, you know, ever since they got rid of that, PvT and then also PvZ have gotten significantly better, but PvP is a bit of a tricky one, as like, going for a proxy Stargate oftentimes enables you to go for a macro build. As when your opponent scouts that you don't have your main tech structure inside of the main base, usually they end up playing safely, and because of that you have the resources to go for an expansion. So in a way, like Proxy Stargate, it is a macro build. Ooh, actually, hold that thought. We do have that very first Reaper skirmish. A nice grenade actually by Cure. Manages to kill that very first Reaper, easy peasy. That's actually very important because, well, now he can start getting out into the map a little bit more bravely. Likewise, Zerg vs. Zerg also has potential on being absolutely amazing. There are a handful of games of ZVZ that I've casted where I really was on the edge of my seat. I had no idea what was going on and who would be winning, right? ZVZ, absolutely amazing, but once again, it's a matchup that can end very quickly. Nice little bit of harassment once again. There is that second Reaper now joining Cure, as the first one obviously died for INnoVation. Second Hellion now also available though. Ooh, beautiful move there actually by Cure. Did you see that? That was so cute. He knew that the Reaper would be... Oh, is this one gonna die? I believe Hellions are slightly quicker. Yep, it will indeed die. Yeah, he actually knew that the Hellions were locked on, so he moved one of his Hellions forward and negated some of that splash damage. But Zerg vs. Zerg, I mean, that matchup, generally speaking, ends with the Ling Bane phase, and if that's not the case, with the Roach Ravager phase, right? Like, the top level guys can make Zerg vs. Zerg look incredible. The same can be said for PvP, but both of those matchups are a little bit more shaky at best. Terran versus Terran, though, it's become absolutely beautiful, especially with, like, the recent resurgence of Terran Mech. It's always been a viable option in TVT. Most of the time, we still see players going for that Marine tank-based army, but Mech definitely a way of going about this matchup as well. Now, this is huge, actually. Wow. Cure accidentally ends up sacrificing one of those Cyclones. A little bit painful. It means that he can definitely take some damage at home as well. INnoVation still has that Reaper from earlier on into this game. Yeah, looks like he's going to be able to go into the main base and literally see everything. These Marines, yep, they're not going to be able to get much done. So, wow. This is actually the biggest scout ever at, like, 420. I mean, 420 in-game time, just to clarify. He does see everything that's going on inside of the main base of Cure. Anyways, so Terran versus Terran, it's beautiful because every single unit has its place. There's a massive variety in unit compositions, and I really think that's what makes this matchup so very good. Like, the same can be said for, like, Zerg versus Terran. Both matchups, or both of those matchups in both of those instances for both races. Players can go for a variety of strategies. And that's really where I think StarCraft 2 is the most beautiful, when you have, like, different clashes between different units. Anyways, here we do have that aggression. Looks like, actually, what's it called? Mech Field Accelerator, did I get it right? That one did just get queued up there on the side of INnoVation, so he probably wants to stick around with mech units for at least a little while longer. Also, judging by the fact that he decided to go for the second factory, we may very well be seeing that mech-based army here from Inno, which I really, really do like. If that's the case, you know what? And this is scouted right now. I kind of hope Cure decides to go for Bio. I love the dynamic between, like, Bio Mech, or Bio and Mech. Like, there's some really cool moments that can happen. We'll have to see what Cure decides to put down here in a little bit. Be it engineering base, be it additional barracks. We'll have to keep an eye out on him for just a little bit longer, but I'm hoping it's going to be Bio. Yo, Cure, can you do us a favor? Because that's the dynamic that I'm talking about. Actually, for example, like Protoss versus Zerg, Protoss is kind of limited in what they can play. I mean, technically they can go for, like, different varieties of Archon Immortal, but basically all of the mid games lead to Archon Immortal, and I think it's cooler when you have, like, several different options, right? Like, for example, Terran Bio, like, for example, Terran Mech. Now, I like this. Cure actually inching forward here with those two siege tanks. He's got to be careful, obviously. Just barely on the edge right here. And, you know, apparently wants to sort of, like, soft contain his opponent. Okay, so before putting down any additional production, we do see the third command center coming up instead, which has already been finished in the meantime on the other side of INnoVation's side of the map. So this is actually really quite big, right? So Inno is happily expanding while simultaneously going for a mech-based army. Mech is awesome when it comes to playing defensively. You can really, really hold on to very, you know, solid positions on the map, because if you put like 7 siege tanks over here, it won't be pushed into until much later when, like, for example, Liberators and whatnot are part of the game. And actually, Cure, would you look at that, he does decide to go for additional barracks. So we are indeed going to have my wish of that Bio versus that mech-based army. Liberator, in the meantime, also inside of the main base of INnoVation. It's going to actually force a lot of lost mining time. Looks like one of the Cyclones ended up getting picked off as well. And, well, this lost mining time actually is absolutely massive. For every single second that an SCV is not mining, it's losing about a mineral or so. So this is like 20 SCVs, maybe a little bit more even than that, that aren't getting anything done. For like, I don't know, 10, 15 seconds. That's hundreds of minerals lost right there in potential mining time. Okay, so here's the thing. Cure, yeah, he may want to push right here into the third base of the Terran player, but very, very, very difficult to pull that kind of trick off. So there's a couple of things going in favor right now of INnoVation. First off, he's producing 2 siege tanks at once. So very quickly, his siege tank count would just simply be much, much higher than his opponents. And especially if Cure keeps on throwing away siege tanks like that. I believe he actually ended up losing one here in the center of the map too. But secondly, this map layout is absolutely beautiful when it comes to defending with siege tanks and Terran mech in general. You have this great high ground over here that really allows you to hold on to this position relatively easily. I think Inno is going to have a much harder time when it comes to, like, dealing with, for example, drops inside of the main base, which is why he's going for a I think that's a sensor tower over there, and then also a bunch of those Vikings. I think he's going to have a much harder time, though, by the time that the 4th base gets acquired. Now, here we go. Apparently, Cure still wants to sort of commit. Massive amount of interference matrices do come down, and that does mean a couple of these tanks end up falling. 4 tanks versus 4 siege tanks right now. Ooh, well, the Ravens are completely picked off. Still a bunch of Marines do remain, but I think, yeah, this is what I mean. Pushing up a ramp, especially in TVT, it's not really something you can do very easily. Brave move there by Cure. He doesn't want to fight against someone who's completely left to their own devices. He needs to get something done. Now, this is quite nice. Gets himself like 8 workers here already. Got a feeling, though, these Marines are going to have a hard time getting out of here. As the Viking can just, well, they can chase them down, but apparently they're feeling merciful right now. Okay. Now, here's the advantage, though, of playing Terran Bio. And by the way, apparently these Marines, they have a death wish. They want to go down with the ship. The ship being the Medivac, I guess, from earlier. Here's the advantage of playing Terran Bio. Terran Bio is the more mobile version of Terran, right? You can move out onto the map. You can take expansions very greedily. As most of the time, Terran Mech doesn't really move out, other than with like a bunch of Hellions, maybe a few Cyclones or so, until it's maxed out. So, Cure has basically got free reign of this map for at least a couple more minutes until Inno really is starting to get close to that maxed out state. What that means is that he can take command centers on location, he can actually continue expanding wherever he wants. He could even try and take one of the bases that, technically speaking, belongs to his opponent. There's not much that the Terran mech player can really do against that, as it's just simply really, really passive to play. Now, it's also difficult, though, to hold on here. INnoVation cannot be caught out of position, because if the Terran mech army is caught out of position, it takes, like, I don't know, 20 seconds before it gets into a better spot. You can see right here, very critical that these Vikings are in this area. Like, if you're on an all-army hotkey player, you're not going to be able to play Terran mech very well, because, well, you need to make sure you're always on point when it comes to both defending your bases, but also then your main. Looks like the Medivacs actually got sniped there. A couple additional missile turrets and sensor towers will be added on. But Cure doesn't really need to trade very efficiently, because already he's mining more than his opponent. So look at this. 86 workers for the player in blue, 73 workers for the player in red. Eventually, the army of INnoVation will be stronger. But kind of like Zerg plays against Terran as well, oftentimes that Ling Bane force doesn't trade very efficiently. Since Zerg is harvesting off of like 90 drones, they can replenish the army much, much quicker. And that same style, that same strategy right now, is that same approach, I guess, is being played right here by Cure. He's just simply trying to deny his opponent's bases for as long as possible. Doesn't really want to take all too many risks. But in the meantime, since he knows he's not going to be able to get an efficient trade, he's just simply mining more. So once he inevitably loses this army, it can replace it very easily as well. Scan right here confirms no base down south, which means that the expansion will be taken here in the center. Now this is good for Inno. Managed to get the siege tanks up without like a bunch of marines stimming forward. I feel like this army will probably be in a pretty good spot here until the planetary fortress finishes. Obviously, if that many tanks, though, are obviously at the fourth, that also means that the base over here in the bottom section is going to be much more approachable. Seems like that is exactly what Cure is trying to do. There is that sensor tower, so INnoVation does know exactly where those bio units and where those infantry units are located. He's already getting the tanks once again in a good spot. Sadly for Cure, he ended up losing those Ravens earlier, which is a massive deal. If he had those here, that would be making this much, much easier. But both players are scanning as much as they can, and I've got a feeling here Inno has beautifully held on right now to watch that fourth command center finishes up the planetary fortress, which is a great anchor to fall back into. So this is important. This is very important here for the player in red, because 3 bases, I mean, it's cool. Yeah, you can get a maxed out army off of it, but you can't really replenish your maxed out army very easily. Cure, though, I mean, he's already taken the 5th, and this is where that command center explosion really starts. He's currently maxed out. He's even taking one of his opponent's bases. Okay, this I love. This I love. So, say in a hypothetical situation, right? All bases on the map are taken. If you manage to harvest resources from your opponent's base, like say we draw like a diagonal line from like right over here to like right over here on the minimap, right? All the bases on the right technically belong to Cure. All of the bases on the left technically belong to INnoVation. The fact that Cure is now trying to obtain resources from one of his opponent's bases should help him out quite a bit in the long run if every single other base is taken, as this expansion will then obviously mine out in favor of Cure. The weird part is, INnoVation, I mean, can easily take this out, but he doesn't know about the base. And since he is he's kept on his toes so very much, there's a very small chance INnoVation will even, you know, figure out about this until much, much later. Well, that scan almost accidentally caught it. Not quite going to be the case. By the way, I like this as well for Inno. He does have a bunch of Hellbats inside of these Medivacs, so he's probably trying to, like, drop those on top of the bio units, which is, you know, one of the moves that has a lot of potential. Well, maybe he accidentally finds the base. Ay, ay, ay. That was very close. Planetary Fortress is coming up. Cure. Okay, I was gonna say, if that's a missile turret or a sensor tower, that'd be kind of dumb, but no, this is still quite good. Okay, so additional command centers are being taken, but look at this. This is where bio really shines. Cure is taking pretty much all of the bases that he can. Not even all of them on his side of the map. There's, by the way, that Hellbat drop. You know, oh my god. You're so close to seeing this every single time, but Cure is kind of running you around the corner, constantly trying to force you to not see exactly what's happening. Still, though, I mean, yeah, I love this position here for Cure. He's got great upgrades. He has a strong army. INnoVation now is, for all intents and purposes, maxed out, and you can see this is where the next step in his plan is coming up. He's adding on additional starports. So, ooh, actually, massive engagement over here. Didn't think Cure was going to fight that, but I mean, he's got a bit of a bank, so I guess he's feeling confident. Yeah, now with the tanks actually on seat, there's potential for him to get some more work done. Couple of Thors, though, already added into the mix as well, though. They are obviously phenomenal. Siege tanks are leapfrogging forward. And they will now allow this command center right over here to land as well. Here's the next step, though, in the plan. Oh, actually, that's on the other side of the map. Here's the next step in the plan of INnoVation. He's going to be able to start tech labs right here on these starports and go for, well, say, for example, anyone want to call in the fleet? A couple of battle cruisers? I wouldn't mind seeing that whatsoever. Cure, though, apparently decided to boost in a couple of Medivacs at a very odd angle. Probably did not expect these missile turrets over here. INnoVation probably has fallen for this trick once in the past as well. He's desperately trying to rally units into position, but this is where, you know, the Terran player in blue is certainly happy to take some trades. And wow, this is the awkward moment. I love this. This is so awkward. Whenever your command center gets attacked with a missile turret, you know something's not right. Jimmy and his pals apparently also trying their very best to snipe down this command center. Reinforcing units right now, though, are coming out at very, very quick bases. And since INnoVation is now scattered amongst all of the bases that he's got, right, he's very thinly defending all of his bottom bases. He's going to lose the command center, but he's also actually now taking quite a bit of damage over here as he's now forcing a lot of his attention over in the northern section, right? Yeah, you got siege tanks set up over there. It's not going to be moving around very quickly. None of these Marines and Marauders, though, are likely to make it out. Well, a couple of them apparently live to tell the tale, but still a bit sad. New command center, though, already floating over. I wondered if that was the old main base, but no, I think it was just another expo. Actually, rather than going for battle cruisers, he's going for Ravens, which I also think is great. I want to see some battle cruisers, though. You know, like the kid in me loves battle cruisers. Don't judge. I love battle cruisers, okay? They're the big boys of the Terran army. They're like the dinosaur of the Terrans, okay? You know how every boy and every girl loves dinosaurs? Like, I've never met a kid who doesn't like dinosaurs. Battle cruisers are kind of like dinosaurs, okay? Dinosaurs are cool. Battle cruisers are cool. Ravens, yeah, they're cool as well, but it's like, you know, not as cool of an animal. Anyways, once again, big army moving forward here. There is that anti-armor missile on some of these bio units as well. But with that embrace right there of the planetary fortress, the SCVs managed to repair it back up to full health. This is starting to be a really cool game, by the way. I am looking at that minimap, and if I am not mistaken, yeah, every single base right now is taken. This is nuts, by the way, because another base was taken here that is technically the one of the Terran. Well, that doesn't really clarify very much, right? It's technically the Terran player in red that's supposed to take that base. So, Cure doesn't need to trade efficiently. If he can mine out these bases over here, he knows that his opponent is going to likely then mine out some of the other bases too, and therefore, eventually, Cure will just simply mine away more. Here's the thing, though. Units lost. Currently pretty even, but as INnoVation's maxed out right now, he should start pulling ahead when it comes to resources lost quite a bit, right? His opponent should lose more stuff. Comes down to the engagement, obviously. Finally manages to spare some of those siege tanks for that expansion. In the meantime, once again, those Hellbat drops, very helpful. They roast that bio army very quickly. Cure, by the way, doing an amazing job, just simply microing at multiple different fronts. INnoVation, likewise, also doing an excellent job, just simply holding on. I wonder if at some point in Terran versus Terran, they should just, like, disable the fog of war, you know? Like scans and sensor towers. I mean, you know where your opponent is located if you're good at the game. It doesn't actually do anything to not you know, have that fog of war here. Maybe just have fog of war in, like, the main bases where the structures are that produce things. Anyways, INnoVation apparently adding on some additional command centers. He's expecting this game to go on for quite a while longer. Since he does have a lot of planetary fortresses, he can actually hold on relatively easily. Just no planetary taken over here. Inno decides to try and get a base over there, but already Cure is reconstructing the expansion that he just lost. Which is once again technically on his opponent's turf, and that's, well, where once again that missile turret comes into play. INnoVation probably ignoring it, realizing that once this structure lands, he's going to be in a beautiful spot, but nope. You're going to have to get out of there. You know, you need to start getting rid of some of these bases, my man. I'm not gonna lie. Like, if this game goes on for another 10 minutes, and you don't take care of these expansions, they will shut you down very quickly because you don't have money. Like, the main base is out. Natural's out of money. Third base is running low on resources. Fourth and fifth will also be running pretty low pretty soon. So this is very, very, very important. A couple of SCVs once again killed on both sides. Not that big of a deal. I mean, SCV losses at this point. Mules. Mules are pretty good. And INnoVation actually, like, he's maxed out right now and he's gathering what is looking to be quite a nice bank. Love the addition of the Thor actually too. Wouldn't mind seeing another one or two added here in just a sec. Looks like this command center may end up burning down as well. Command center does finish here for Cure, who immediately decides to lift it up as none of these units can shoot down. Or shoot up, rather. I think this command center, though, will likely not lift to tell the tale. And once again, ooh, we have a fight over here. Siege Tanks on the high ground, though, for INnoVation. He's got tons of those. This is a very awkward position to be in. Cure stims forward, manages to get rid of the bio, or of the mech units right over there with his bio units. A lot of additional command centers are being added on, but I don't like this position here for Inno. No, I don't think you can really get too much done. Can you snipe that Thor, please? That'd be good. This command center obviously not meant for this world. This INnoVation finds it. He's going to be able to get rid of it very easily as well. But in the meantime, he's already once again being pushed in over here in the center section of the map. Cure continuously laying down the pressure, trying to catch his opponent off guard. So far, it's really not happened yet, and INnoVation is in a really beautiful position right now. Both of the players are forced to deplete their banks. As you can see, Inno has very little left over. Cure, he's gonna max out again with the next unit producing cycle, so he's gonna probably have to spend that money as well. And this is where that maxed out army with maxed out upgrades can start setting down these command centers very quick. Still though, this comes down to the tanks. Yeah, you need to be sieged up. If you're not sieged up, it's game over very, very quickly. Man, I love this actually from Cure. He's literally just going Marauder and Medivac. This is like the oldest style that Terran players have been playing since like the early days of StarCraft. But players have gotten so much better at it. Like this is the only way you can really play this. It's so easy to lose everything. And actually, hold that thought because there's a massive sandwich being set up. Reinforcing units here for Cure. Absolutely catch the Terran player in red off guard. And with that, INnoVation ends up losing a very significant chunk of his force. Obviously, he can replenish that, but those losses hurt. Because once more, as soon as he leaves this area, I can imagine Cure is going to try and take this expansion. Any resources mined here by Cure that are on the side of the Terran player in red are massively beneficial for him. We're getting to the point where the whole map is mined out. So these center bases are very critical. Cure is already mining out this expansion over here up north. This base over here becomes very, very, very important. I always wonder if it's not worth harassing anymore here. Because, I mean, you can try and go after that planetary, and that's fine, right? That's fine. But I feel like the attention has to be forced over in this section of the map instead. The Viking army, though, once again joining in as well. Cure apparently wanted to go for some cute little drop play over here. Not gonna happen. This is a sick game. Here we go, once again, a bit of a skirmish. Siege Tanks managed to siege up, force that army to go back home. Cure, though, has a lot more where that came from. At the same time, he's also got a small force right here in the bottom section of the map. INnoVation likely will be able to clean that one up relatively easily. At the same time, though, the big Terran force in blue is stimming forward. It is going to be able to get rid of that planetary fortress over here. Siege Tanks in the back, though, still shelling away continuously. Only a couple of mineral patches do remain. Cure likely will have to back off once again. At the same time, INnoVation now making a move forward here as well. Sieges up those tanks in that really powerful position that we saw earlier. This orbital command is forced to lift up as well. And I think it may actually get picked off as the Vikings now also join the fray. This one certainly will be broken into pieces too. In a straight up fight, Cure can't really win. If this is just a straight up one-on-one engagement, Cure can't really win. So he has to make sure that he's continuously running his opponent around. INnoVation would love to take a big fight right now, but Cure is not taking it. Cure is continuously hitting him at several different angles, trying to spread the mech units as thin as they possibly can. Don't try this at home, by the way, man. If you're trying this at home, like the Marauder Medivac style, your ladder points are gonna go down very quick. This is really, like, I want to emphasize it, this is one of the hardest styles to play in StarCraft. If you have a look right now, yeah, this is what I'm talking about. The resources lost, all of a sudden, heavily in favor of INnoVation. So, despite the fact that Cure has been mining a lot more, you gotta take that with a grain of salt because there's just simply way more lost resources right now for Cure. He's lost more than 10,000 additional resources over his opponent, which is, yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot of Marines. It's a lot of dead Marines, to clarify. Ugh, poor Marines. I wouldn't want to be a Marine in Cure's army, okay? That's what I'm trying to say. And INnoVation, I mean, he's inching closer to, a very solid force. He probably wanted to make that switch towards planetaries, or sorry, not planetaries, battlecruisers here at some point, but he doesn't really have the money for it. Now, a whole bunch of siege tanks are actually set up behind missile turrets as well. I love that idea, but there's so much there, and Cure right now embraces this command center with a huge concave. Manages to snipe the base once again, and these are some of the last remaining mineral patches here in this game. At the same time, there's actually also a huge chunk of Terran units coming in from the north, surrounding the siege tanks that were located over there. Cure, after losing a big battle earlier, now absolutely trashes his opponent's force. His INnoVation was trying to gather everything into one big clump. Cure saw an opportunity, took it, and now took down a massive chunk of his opponent's army. That's absolutely critical. You can see right now INnoVation scrambling to keep anything alive. Losing that base over here, absolutely critical. Losing this command center over here would be even more significant, as even the base over here in the top center is also being taken care of. Lots of mules are landing, so the economy here will certainly not be, you know, not be absolutely terrible. Let's keep an eye out on that as the yellow mining machines go to town. I almost feel like Cure should have sacrificed some more units just to try and get that base killed. Look at that. You can remax off of 2,000 a minute. This expansion over here, though, in a world of trouble. Obviously, if INnoVation were to, like, defend only the base in the south, his main base would get hit. So there's a lot of thinking involved here. A lot of very strategic positioning that's absolutely critical. I really loved the position for INnoVation here very recently, but... You know what would be cool? Actually, the command center here in the bottom left-hand corner does fall. Hold that thought, because the Terran Bio army wants to engage. You know what would be cool? If Cure just ended up landing a whole lot of mules over here just to steal the resources so Inno can't mine them. Imagine scanning and then dropping mules. Massive surround once again coming up right here for the South Korean Terran player in blue. He manages to get rid of most of those siege tanks. Even the Vikings right now are forced to land. Reinforcing tanks, though, are coming from the main base. And they are going to be able to clean all of this up. INnoVation managed to land another command center. And speaking of landing, he's now also dropping mules to try and bring his economy back from the brink of disaster. The fact that Cure has had all of these expansions in the top right completely uncontested this entire game long, and once again, that's the downside of Mech, it's so slow, is absolutely massive. Cure has been able to mine so much, and you know what? Look at that mini-map. INnoVation. He's taking the base over here. Cure probably assuming that the base in the bottom left-hand corner is going to be taken as well. That immediately means that Cure is making a beeline straight towards the production. He knows that there can't be much. Command center actually burns down over here as well, but he knows that there can't be much. And, well, if he can pick up reinforcing units, that is absolutely phenomenal. Cure still mining. 2.3k minerals a second, or a minute, not a second. That would be nuts. And this is cute. Look at this. Ay. Using the splash damage of these siege tanks to kill their friends. Well, this tank, sadly, for Cure here is busy, apparently. Sniping away some of the other Marines, but... a lot of damage is being done. Once again, more units come from the main base of Cure, and INnoVation eventually, after 28 minutes of non-stop aggression, is forced to tap out. Beautiful game there. Well played by Cure. Certainly earned his victory. I hope that you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, do me a favor, hit that like button. If you didn't like it, feel free to hit that dislike button, I guess. That works too. I don't know if you made it all the way until this point in the video. I'd be surprised, but yeah, if you don't like it, I mean, feel free to. Also, if you want to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well as the bell icon so you get notified as soon as I upload additional content. But for now, I want to thank you for watching. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile, and I'll see you once again in the next one.